Hi there, my name is Josclynn Garrison. I am an educator and musician in the Dayton, Ohio region, and I work with Dr. Jim Daughters in Cincinnati with a wind band down there. And he said that there were educators looking for an informative video on bassoon to kind of give them a heads up on how everything should go, and to help students get their instrument together for the first time and to put it away. So I'm here to give you information to help you get started. So the first thing you want to think about is reeds, and you can get those from a music store. You can get them from a private teacher if a student is lucky enough to have a private teacher. And more often than not, those students will get their reeds from a music store, and that's completely fine. And I will link some information down below about how to select the right reed from the Army Field Band. They have a really great informative video. It's an hour and a half long, so it's a little bit to digest, but the information on there is really solid, and I'll give you a timestamp for the moment where they start to talk about how to choose the right reed. But once your student has the reed, the first thing you want to do before you get your instrument out is to soak the reed and make sure that it's ready to go. So you grab your reed out of your case and you put it in water. Now I have a little Tupperware cup of water, but you could use anything. In college I used a coffee cup because I was just trying to live my best life. But it's up to you on what kind of vessel you use to hold your water. And as far as cases go, if your student is buying reeds from a store, they can stab a hole in that case or pop a hole in that case and use that, just as long as there's like air moving through it. I started off with the Rico case that has the little humidity packets in there, and that was fine. And then I eventually graduated to this case, and this was okay, but you can see here I popped a hole in it because my reeds weren't ventilated enough, and that ended up working really well for me. And on another tip, I use right now these Leger reeds. I use a medium Leger reed, and while these reeds are a little expensive, I think they're $125 up front. If you have a relatively responsible student who doesn't necessarily have the time to invest in a reed and take the time to fix the reed or doesn't really understand those, this can be a great option for them. And I personally right now don't have a lot of time to make reeds. I'm teaching and performing them all over the place, and so this is like a really easy way to pick a reed up out of my case and have it work. It doesn't change with the humidity. It doesn't require a lot of oversight. You pick it up out of the case and it works. So today I'll be playing on this guy, but any sort of reed is appropriate. So once you have your reed soaking in the water, your next step is to grab your seat strap. So every case is different. My case has a big old pocket on top, and you can keep all of the music that you never want to give back to your band director in there. But you'll find that your seat strap is in there, and you can go ahead and lay that across your seat. And you can go ahead and open your case, and you'll have a lot of different parts in there. But the next part you're going to look out for is your bocal. Now I like to take my bocal out and set it right to the side on my music stand, so I don't have to worry about putting it on my instrument, pulling it out of my case. It's already set out. I can grab it right off my stand and put it right on my instrument. Either that or on your chair, somewhere where it's within reach, but not somewhere it'll fall off. The next part you're looking out for is your hand rest. I personally don't have a hand rest on my instrument because mine didn't come with one, and it was perfect because I have very short fingers. But your hand rest will go on the boot of your instrument, and it's sort of a comma-shaped tool with a little metal post coming out of it, and you will either have it in your pocket in here or in the pocket on your top of your case. You want to find that and set that to the side as well. So you have your seat strap on your seat ready to go, you have your bocal sitting on your stand waiting for you, and you have your hand rest on the stand waiting for you. So your next step is to get the four main parts of the instrument out. You have the bell, the long joint, the short joint, and the boot. So the first part you want to grab is the boot. The boot, you know, is the boot because it has two holes in the top. One of them is lined with either rubber or metal, and the other is wood. So this is going to go on the bottom. I usually like to set this down in my case and hold on to the boot. So then, the next part you're going to grab is the short joint. The short joint is shorter than the long joint, and it also has rubber tubing in the top, and mine has metal on the bottom. So that's kind of a good signifier for what is the short joint, as well as noting that it's shorter and it's also concave on one side. So you're going to go ahead and put that on your instrument, watching out for your bar down here. Twist it around. And there you go. Now you're going to grab the long joint. The top of the long joint is larger than the bottom, as you can see here. So the smaller part will go right into the boot, into the other hole, and give it a gentle nudge right down. And then once your long joint is in, there's a little locking mechanism here. You can turn it to the side, and that locks your instrument together. So these guys can't fall apart. Then once those two are together, you'll grab the bell, and the bell has one little button on it. You'll press that down, and that goes right on top. So then once you have this setup all completed, you're ready to sit down with your instrument, put your seat strap on the chair, and sit down and get ready to play. So you have your reed soaking, you have your bogle and your hand rest or your crutch sitting to the side, and now your seat strap is going to be on your seat, and you're almost ready to play. So I have my bogle to the side, I have my instrument ready, my seat strap is under my butt, and my reed is soaking. Awesome. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bogle, I'll put it in my short joint. There's some rubber tubing here. You can slide it right in. Be very careful of this whisper keypad. It's very easy to rip that off. Then you're going to pick up your instrument and you're going to attach your seat strap to it. Now mine has a hook, and I'll just hook it right in. I know that this is the right side facing me because I see all of the thumb keys here. You'll notice that also on the front side of the instrument, that's where the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 holes are. So you can kind of identify what side needs to be facing you and what side needs to be away from you. So once you have your bogle set, you have your seat strap on, that's your cue to grab your reed. So go ahead and grab my reed. And before I put it on my instrument, I'm actually going to start with my embouchure to make sure my reed's going to work. So you want to keep your mouth relaxed and then bring your lips up kind of like a drawstring bag. That kind of shape, like, ooh. And then you're going to take the reed, put it in your mouth. And it creates a nice little cushion right around the reed. So you try that again. And if you'd like, you could take your tip of your tongue and put it on the tip of the reed and move it around a little bit. Back and forth. Makes a neat sound. So that's just making a sound on the reed. The next thing you could do is you can bring your mouth all the way down the reed up to where the first wire is on the reed, and then blow. And that's called a crow. And that basically tells you that both sides of the reed are vibrating because you hear the two different sounds working together. So once you've played on your reed a little bit to make sure that it's got the sound that you want, you go ahead and you put it on your instrument. You make your embouchure the same way you did before, and then you can blow. Now when you're holding a bassoon, it can seem kind of like it's really, really large and very hard to like figure out how to handle, but it's pretty easy. The first thing you want to do is you want to take your crutch and you want to put it down here. Now you can't really see this, but I have 4 screws right here where my crutch handle would go. So you would take the little comma shaped bit and you would take the metal post and put it right here, and it would sit right on your instrument so your hand could rest on it. Once that's in place, that kind of gives you a place for your right hand to sit. Your left hand sits right on your instrument on the long joint here, right next to these 3 holes. So this is carrying the weight right here on this side of your hand, and this side of the hand is making sure that it doesn't go back and forth. And then the rest of the weight is held by the seat strap. So once you've got this kind of set up, you can bring your instrument up, and then you can play. So then, once you've got that setup figured out, you're ready to go. You're basically a professional bassoonist at that point. Living the dream. Once you're done with your instrument, the first thing you want to do is take your reed off and you want to put it away in your case. The number of times that I've left a reed sitting on a stand, or put it in my mouth thinking that it would be fine, and then it fell out, and then it broke in half, and I was heartbroken is too many. So you always want to put your reed away first. Put it in its case, and you can put it in the pocket it needs to go in. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to take off your bogle. The bogle, you can have a bogle swab that will swab out the bogle and is specifically sized to pull through the bogle. But if you don't have one of those, it's perfectly fine. You take the part that goes right into the bassoon, put your mouth on it and blow. Some spit will come out, that's okay. It's just cleaning out any excess moisture that's in there, and then you can put that back in your case. And now you're going to take the bassoon apart in the same way that we put it together. or the opposite way of what way we put it together. So you're going to take the bell off. You're going to make sure you grab onto this key as you twist it off gently. Put that in the case. Long joint comes off. Gently twist. One hand on the boot, one hand on the long joint. Gently twist. Ta-da. Goes in the case. And now we're to the part of the instrument where you actually have to swab. So I have 2 swabs. You can do it with 1, but it's preferred to do 2 just to make sure you're not swabbing moisture from one part of the instrument to the next. But you're going to swab the short joint first, and then you're going to swab the boot. So I like to take the boot off, and then I will take the side that has the lining in it that's either metal or rubber, and I will set it down in the case with that side down so that none of the moisture goes up into the instrument. And then I will take my designated swab, and I choose blue for my short joint because that's just how I live my life. What you know about that blue swab? And of course my blue swab is tangled. So once you figure out the Rubik's Cube that your swab has become, and then you ask yourself, why didn't I put this away better? Was I living in spite of myself, or did I just not think? You take this and you're going to put it right in the end of your instrument that goes right into the bassoon. This is the end where the vocal was, and you can tell that because of the whisper key. And then this end should be metal or rubber, and that's going to be exactly where it fit into the boot. So that's where you're going to put the swab. It's going to come out the hole where the vocal went, and you're going to pull it through. Now I like to, when I get to the stage, gently squeeze these keys and blow on them. The reason for that is when I get in the higher register, oftentimes I'll move those keys down and I'll hear like a gurgle, and that means that there's water stuck in there, and I'll have to clean those out. So to help that from happening every single time I play, I will blow the spit out of there and hope that it gets absorbed into here. So it's my little life pro tip. You go ahead and put that in my case, and then before I put this back, I'm going to roll it gently together. And then you're going to take your other swab. In this instance, it's my very appropriate black swab. I'm going to put it in the wooden entrance here, and then it's going to come out the metal or the rubber entrance here. Before I do that, I'm going to make sure that I dumped all the spit out. None today. Live my best life. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in the bigger hole, or the wooden hole. See that here? Drop it in. Tilt it sideways, maybe give it a little shake, turn it upside down. And then as you let it go through, it should come out the other side. It looks kind of like a magic trick. And then after I pull it out, I usually like to take my swab and wipe down the inside of the hole just to make sure that I get all the moisture out. Sometimes there's a little extra caught in there if I've been playing a whole lot that day, and I want to make sure that no moisture is just kind of floating around my case. Once that's done, I'm going to roll my swab up. Swab maintenance is life. Make sure I have my seat strap. I'm going to put it in this main pocket. I will zip my case up. Make sure my reeds are put away. Then you're all set. You're a bassoon professional now. I hope this was helpful for you. I tried to make it low-key and approachable so that it could feel like you and colleague. We're just sitting in a room talking about bassoon. If you have any questions, my email is linked below, and I've also linked that Army Field Band video that I discussed earlier. It's about an hour and a half long, but it's really informative. I've also attached some other things that I thought might be helpful for you. Good luck, and have a good school year.